All right, we are all fired up around here at Watch DA Live to have football season right around the corner. And our next guest has 3 championship rings. That's right, he was a member of 3 Super Bowl winning teams as part of the first half, the first dynasty of the New England Patriots. He was a long snapper for some of the most iconic moments in franchise history and was named to the Patriots All-Dynasty Team. And he's recently joined the High Fives Foundation Board of Trustees, a very cool organization, which we'll talk about with him. Lonie Paxton joining us here on the show from sunny Orange County, California, or somewhere on the West Coast, I'm assuming. What's up, Lonie?
Yeah, down in San Diego. How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me.
Doing good, brother. Thanks so much for joining us. Yeah, it looks like it's going really well for you.
Yeah, I mean, school just started. You know, I got 4 kids under 12, so they're all in sports. We're all in school. My wife and I were just having a debrief on all the coordinating of the schedules and the carpools. So, you know, it's crazy down here, but, you know, can't complain.
My guess is that when you were growing up and doing the things that your kids are doing, there was a lot less organization, a lot less day-to-day coaching. And today you're like, what the heck? When I was rolling out the balls for practice, it was like a quarter of this type of oversight.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a full-time business management role that my wife has taken on, you know, now that we have these kids and I travel a bit and various roles. And, you know, people always ask, you know, does she work? And I said, she's got the hardest job in the family because, you know, she's herding cats all day and dealing with my madness and, you know, obviously trying to be the best she can be in her life. So it's no small task, especially with all the kids. But you know what? I mean, we're not the first to do it. Won't be the last. So, you know, no complaints.
You were a Sacramento State guy, and I feel like there is an amazing diamond in the rough. Somehow Bill Belichick found you as a gem, undrafted, that nobody else saw. Give me the story of how a Sacramento State undrafted long snapper lands with the Patriots right as they're beginning their dynasty run.
Man, it was honestly a bit of a luck of the draw. I mean, Sacramento State, when I was playing, you know, you got these big time 1A schools like USC, Notre Dame, Miami, you know, they're getting hundreds of scouts every day. I mean, you got no room to put these guys. At Sacramento State, we get 1 scout every month, you know, so guys know when they're there. They know who to go practice hard by and hopefully they're staring at you while you're doing your drills and stuff. And so, you know, it's obviously as a college athlete, you want to go to the next level, but a lot of times I looked at it as too unobtainable. So I was just focused on finishing college, you know, getting connected with the right business leaders so that I can, you know, transition well and snowboarding quite a bit because my school was about 30 minutes from Sierra at Tahoe. And so I was just enjoying my senior year. And, you know, the coaches started telling me, hey, you got to pay a little bit more attention to this. Let's start, you know, working on those long snapping. Every time you do get a scout or two coming through, you're going to have to, you know, do all the workouts, but also raise your hand, tell them you can long snap. And, you know, the way the college went down was I wasn't getting offers until real late. So when Sac State came calling for a trip and eventually a scholarship, I wasn't going to say no. I took the first opportunity and I approached it that way with these guys. And, you know, I didn't even have an agent after these workouts. You know, my first agent was a real estate agent. He wasn't even a player's agent. So, you know, I didn't know how to get one. And when it came time to, you know, have a team select your name after the draft as a, you know, free agent scrub who's not even supposed to make it and the first one to call me, I was taking that opportunity no matter what it was. And fortunate enough, it was the New England Patriots, and, you know, the rest is history.
Amazing. So you were thrust into an incredible situation. Tom Brady ends up taking over the role. You guys go on this amazing run in 2001, and there's 2 monster field goal kicks that Vinatieri makes that you're snapping on to win a Super Bowl. One is the Snow Bowl, the Tuck Rule game. Then the second is the Super Bowl to win it at the end. Let's start with the Snow Bowl. You go out there to long snap this kick. What are you thinking as the snow comes down in Foxborough and you've got to line up for that field goal? Do you have any feeling like Vinatieri is actually going to make this kick?
You know, we practiced in the weather, so that's what Bill really did for us was put us in situations to be successful. So it wasn't a surprise that New England, you're going to get weather. We practiced in that stuff, and we tried to prepare as much as possible. You know, I had a bunch of friends from California slamming hundreds of beers at my house before the game, and they said, we're going to do snow angels in the parking lot when you beat the Raiders, who was kind of a childhood, you know, nemesis because I was the LA Rams team. fan. And, so when you're really in that situation, you go back to your fundamentals, your foot placement, your hand placement, how the ball feels coming off your fingers, that mojo you have with your holder in that situation. So, they tried to clear some space off for Adam's plant foot, but for me, it was like, screw it, just let him figure it out. So the ball was sitting on about 4.5, 5 inches of snow, and snow was in the laces. I could barely feel my fingers, but again, it went down to that repetition, and I knew I was going to do it right, and I knew Adam was going to make magic, and so it worked out just as we had hoped. You never really planned for those things, but you can only prepare so much so that when that happens, it's not you feel like you've been there.
And then you end up doing the snow angel after the kick and the win. So was that inspired by your buddies who were hammered on hundreds of beers?
Yeah, it was, because they were like, we're going to do them in the parking lot after the game. And then I told one of my friends who was there, he was inactive that game. And I said, yeah, everyone's at the house party and we're going to celebrate after the game. He's like, I'll meet you at the center of the field when we win, we'll do snow angels. And, I'm nowhere near the center of the field. I'm right toward the end zone. So I just thought of him and I was like, this is the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to run, and I dropped down and did it. There's no social media. You can barely even find that clip on YouTube these days. So, it wasn't for anything other than, I can't believe I came from where I came from, and I'm here today doing this. We just beat, the Raiders in one of the craziest games of all time, and it's the last play in Foxborough Stadium, and the rest is history.
Building off of that, you have 3 incredible kicks to win 2 of those Super Bowls. That one, end of the Rams in the first game, and then end of the Carolina Panthers in the second Super Bowl win. Out of those 3, what was the highest degree of difficulty, the most pressure on you to make the correct snap?
Well, I would say the snow, in the Super Bowl. Yeah, I just couldn't believe my life had come from, small town school to now, on this biggest stage with my family in the stands. And I grew up an LA Rams fan. So I'm sitting here playing my kind of childhood team in the Super Bowl with a chance to win. I knew Adam could make the kick. I really, in that moment, you try to not think of the what ifs. You really just go down to repetitions and what you've done so much in the past. So fortunately, my holder, Ken Walters, has a giant nose, and so when I looked under my legs, all I could see was this big schnauzer, and I was like, that's where I'm throwing it. So I threw it right at his face mask. I'm not trying to put it over the spot or anything. I'm just like, let's get this out of my hands and then onto Adam's foot. And so, all 3 were different. The third one, the Panthers, I wasn't playing in that game. I tore my ACL in December of 2003, and so or 2003. And so it was kind of a nightmare to go try and find a snapper that they're confident enough can actually, go into the playoffs and kind of keep the rhythm. And I think there was 2 guys they brought in. One got injured, one they cut, and then they brought in an older guy, Brian Kinchin, who he had a 15-year career, but he hadn't played for 3 years. And so it was that one was anxiety driven, because I'm sitting there on the sideline with a cane and could barely stand up after my surgery. But and he had some bad snaps throughout the game, but then was when it counted, he put it right on the money. So that's all that matters.
Big schnauzer. I love that. Just look it under your legs. Be like, I got that nose. Okay, that's all I need.
Yeah.
Target here.
That's right. It's like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, just like going through the snow. I could see him. Perfect.
So you were the same rookie class as Tom Brady, and I wonder, do you remember anything about rookie camp or OTAs or just being a group of rookies together, and if there was anything notable that stood out about the quarterback?
Not really. I mean, we were Cali kids. We were all struggling to make it. I mean, we lived in a horrible hotel. I mean, some of those things you see in the Dynasty are true. Just the end zone motel and sharing rooms and just trying to make the team. No one was really given the spot. So we'd go out in Boston. We couldn't get in with tennis shoes, so we'd get turned away from most places. And we would get lost every time. So we stayed on Route 1 and just figured out that that's the easiest way to not get lost in Boston, is just to stay on Route 1. So we spent a lot of time by the stadium and, playing cards in the room and stuff. And I mean, Tom and I, we talk frequently. We're still great friends today. And it's just cool to see how that rookie class, which you get into 2001, I'd say 80% of that class was gone. You know, Tom and I were really some of the only two. There was J.R. Redmond and a few others that were in that class that hung around for that time. And so it was just, tough playing for Bill, but such a good ride to have a nucleus of veterans trust that we could do it. And then obviously when the injury happened and Tom took over, rest is history.
What was the toughest thing about being a young guy and playing for Bill?
It's your job's on the line every day. It's a cutthroat business, and he made you feel it. So, I would say, I was there for 9 seasons, and every morning I thought I was getting cut. So regardless of if I had felt I had a great game or a great practice or I didn't do anything wrong, your job was on the line because you knew. He would parade guys in through the locker room every day that were getting worked out to take your job. So it was no secret that there were people waiting in line to take the job that you're in. And you'd sit there and kind of size them up like, okay, is that a snapper? Is that a lineman? Is that who is that? Is that a quarterback? Like, is he fast? Is he big? But it was well known, in the locker room that, you're expendable. So you're only as good as your last play. And we treated it as such, but we tried to have fun as a group internally. We became really good friends, and we still keep in touch. We're on a text thread today with Vrabel and Welker and Castle and Brewski, and they're honoring Welker at a Texas Tech game here soon. And so we have this kind of 18-year text thread going that just that's kind of how we keep in touch today. But it all started back then.
It's interesting because having covered the Patriots, been in that locker room, talked to a lot of the guys, everyone has the same feeling that you did. My job was on the line every single day, not just a long snapper from Sacramento State undrafted. This was starting wide receiver, starting linebackers. I think that probably Bill turned the screws on Brady quite often as well. Drafted Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, yeah.
On it goes. Do you think that parading guys into the locker room to try out for positions was mental warfare for you guys and a theater that Bill knew he could take advantage of? Or do you think every single day he was looking for a guy who could better the team?
Every single day they're looking, and it wasn't just him. It was the entire, management team from Scott Pioli on down. They need to do their jobs. That's their job, is to, if there's an injury, if there's if you haven't produced on the field, of course it's a little bit of theater, but by no means is that the intention. The intention is to put the best product out there you can to win for the team. And so, we felt it, we knew it, but I think, that's what kept you honest. And a lot of times today's player probably couldn't handle that stuff. So, they're all going to bitch and complain that it wasn't fun playing for the Patriots. Well, it ain't fun when you're losing. So if you're winning and it's hard, it makes that much more of an impact.
One of the things that I respected most, but it really grinded my gears, was being a media member going to cover this team. And every single guy would act like whoever the opponent was that week was the 85 Bears. They could be a 2-win Jets team. It could be a 1-15 Dolphins team. It could be the worst team in football. And every single one of you guys said, man, we got to take that guy seriously. That quarterback's really good. We know that's a really good coach. And I thought, is this media training behind the scenes that the Patriots are just told, just say nice things about everybody? Or was that a mindset that the coaching staff instilled in you that you guys could lose to anybody, no matter how bad they were? Which was that?
It was the latter. There was it's the NFL, right? Their record only means so much. When you put the tape on, you can see, they're 4 plays away from being 6-5. They're not a 2-5 team. They could be, they got great players. They might just make mistakes at the end. It could be a penalty. It could be a misplay, but that doesn't mean that they're not put it all out there every single week. So no, do you want to speak up and say, we're the best and come beat us? So that's billboard material. You got to go into every week assuming that the guy across from you is an all-star and he's in the NFL for a reason, and you need to study him and break it down and then look to your left and your right in front of you and approach it that way. And he was really good at that because, every week he gave us 3 keys to win the game. And 99% of the time, if we executed those 3 keys, we won the game. And so, from those individual perspectives, you really got to battle against the person across from you and the scheme across from you. But you're not going to walk in and answer the media's questions in an honest way, regardless if that's the way you feel, because it's just billboard material that you don't need an extra distraction that week.
You have recently joined the High Fives Foundation Board of Trustees, and you've been a philanthropist for a long time. You've invested a lot of time and resources and money into causes. You had somebody very close to you in a snowboard accident when you were younger. And so tell me the reason that you feel so connected to the High Fives Foundation to join it like you are.
Yeah, I grew up with a guy named Brooke Ducanel, and an aspiring snowboarder, action sports athlete, and he broke his back in '99, and was airlifted to a hospital, and I drove out, flew out to see him, spent a few days with him in the hospital, right when, the time is when he's finding out that he's never going to walk again and life's going to be completely different. Saw that transition, and knew he was an athlete at heart and wanted to continue to, stay active and give back and still kind of, get outside and take advantage of the beautiful resources that Earth has provided, and so that inspired us to start a foundation, because it is really expensive for the equipment, and to do any type of sports, it's really expensive in general. But then if you have a disability, it's 10x that. So we started a foundation ourselves and developed a 4-wheel mountain bike, and would host events and camps and golf tournaments and fundraise and whatnot. And it was tricky because I never had the Tom Brady platform to, stroke a check for a couple $1 million and light some fire under this thing. So it was a grind. And for whatever reason, it kind of fizzled away, because everyone had their careers and continued to be philanthropic, but just not in our own idea and foundation. And then Roy Tuscany and the High Five Foundation was started, and they were on a very similar mission and were really pumping a lot of gas into the efforts here. I mean, they help 800-900 athletes around the world, adaptive sports camps and injured veterans, and very similar missions. And so it made complete sense, because I've known Roy for a long time. Actually participated in a golf tournament that I was hosting for our foundation back in 2009, and they asked me to be on the board of trustees, and of course I'm going to jump at that honor, because it's humbling for me to think that someone believes I can add value and continue to pass high fives around the world to anyone in need and who's dealing with life-changing injuries, but also provide a bit of a bridge because of someone who's kind of been there from the beginning of these adaptive sports and the equipment and seen the injury firsthand, to having a vehicle and a platform like I do with being a former player and the NFL and my business development background and stuff. So, trying to add a little bit of my perspective to it. And it was, of course I'm going to say yes to that. And I mean, they're great people all around. And I really feel like, if we can add some resources to some of these programs, it's just going to continue to change lives.
Did you ever meet Darryl Stingley, the wide receiver from the Patriots, who back in the 70s was paralyzed on the field?
I think I might have met him once or twice. But, there was a lot of guys that had injuries away from sports, who were athletes at heart and just, for one reason or the other, whether it was a life-changing injury or was, something happened to one of their extremities and they became an amputee, or they were overseas and was dealing with our, defending our country. So the community is very tight. I feel like I might have met him in the early days at an alumni thing at the Patriots, but yeah, I mean, there's a big group of people out there that need to be served.
Yeah, and his is a powerful story, and I know there's a lot of Patriots fans who hold him very dear to their hearts, and so this is a great foundation. The High Fives Foundation focuses on preventing life-changing injuries and provides resources and hope if they do indeed happen. Check it out. Pay It Forward by the founder, Roy Tuscany, is what the message is for spinal cord injuries. That's available information, highfivesfoundation.org. How about the story of Lonie Paxton? Here's a guy, undrafted Sac State, and he ends up winning 3 Super Bowls, snapping on some of the most high-leverage, high-pressure kicks in NFL history. And he's a member of the Patriots All-Dynasty Team. You're doing, snow angels. I got to imagine, man, when you get into a Hall of Fame like that and you look around and you see those dudes, a lot of them who have yellow jackets, you got to be like, man, pinch me. This is crazy.
I still do, and I'm just happy to ride shotgun. I don't have to ever be honored in that fashion. Of course, it would be great, but they're never going to honor a long snapper at that level. But I got to watch some of the greatest players of all time, and firsthand, just up close and personal with the Teddys and Willies and Toms and Rodney Harrisons and Richard Seymours and Mike Vrabels and these guys. So, for me, that's enough. And I'll continue to beat the drum of their mission to get that gold jacket.
Lonie Paxton joining us here on the show, 3-time Super Bowl champion for the New England Patriots and the highfivesfoundation.org. Check out more information on their cause. Lonie, this was awesome, man. Thanks so much. Now go run one of your kids over to soccer practice or football, whatever you got going on. You got a lot of stuff going on over there.
Oh, there's 3 practices here in a few hours, so thanks for letting me go.